Hello and a very warm welcome to yet another brand new episode of your very own show, Colours of India. I am Teena Jha with the weekly roundup of all the culturally relevant stories from across the city. Before we get to the performances, a quick look at the highlights. A tryst with the past, a South Asian Bands Festival, and some delightful surprises this Christmas. Today we bring you a ballet based on the life of Mughal Princess Jahanara, performed by well-known Kathak dancer Padma Shri Shovana Narayan.
Shovana Narayan's A Tryst with the Past over a 2-day ballet festival at the Kamani Auditorium. She relived the unexplored lives of two legends, Jahanara and Kadambari.
लेकिन अब क्या रह गया? खंडर, यादें, धुंधले नकुश.
Jahanara as the enigmatic Mughal princess and Kadambari as the poet's muse, both reflecting the social circumstances and the position of women in the last few centuries.
Zakia Zahir ji. She's a passionate poetess, and once she and I were talking about it, and she narrated the whole story and how she had, thought of it. It just caught my attention, and that was it. So once something catches my attention, when I say attention, not here, it's sort of, it has to go into the heart.
Shovana's historical quest makes her dig out characters that you find rarely documented in bibliographies.
Perfect as always. I've always been coming for her performance, and they're like spectacular. The script, the stories, everything is just perfect. And I think she tops all the dancers.
In Shovana's telling of Jahanara, the Mughal princess and the daughter of Shah Jahan takes over the Zanana Mahal after her mother's death. Not allowed to marry, she becomes a writer and a disciple of the Chishti saints.
It was just mind-blowing, from the word go, when the lights came on, I already had goosebumps because of the music and because of the way the lights came in, the curtains going up and everything. I've been into theatre, but this is the first time that I actually saw so much of dramatization and a completely different yet so similar an art form.
The beguiling factor of the production is the music of Pandit Jwala Prasad, Zakia Zahir's script and the lighting by R.K. Dhingra. As for the supporting dancers, not just the women but even the male dancers are emotionally charged with their well-coordinated guts and tihais.
उस दौर में किस टाइप का संगीत चलता होगा या कैसा रहा होगा वो महसूस करना पड़ता है पहले, और बड़ी कोशिश करनी पड़ती है कि भाई उसी स्टोरी में और उसके जो दरबार का जो संगीत होता था वो वैसा महसूस करके वैसा बनाना पड़ता है. इस पर काफ़ी रिसर्च और मेहनत करनी पड़ती है.
मेरी आहों को करार आ गया.
While the Kathak of today seems to forget the gentle and the graceful nuances of Bhav and Abhinay, exponents like Shovana Narayan have been upholding the tradition for the last 4 decades.
is natural to expect wonders when great artists get together for a grand extravaganza like this one. So after this tale from the past, we get you glimpses from the South Asian Bands Festival.
As you sway from side to side, a little movement can't be denied. And now you coming along for the ride. Won't you run, run, run and hide? Won't you run, run to survive? I see a dream.
Delhi's old fort thrived with the vibe of new and modern music.
Give me one sign of hope, one of danger. It's the silence that makes us feel stranger.
As it played host for the 7th edition of the South Asian Bands Festival.
That gun to my head, and hey, I said,
Organized by Ministry of Culture, ICCR and Seher.
what's left without feeling? I gotta go where I get my eye.
The annual Music Fest is a cross-border regional integration through culture.
Do you want to know what kills me? Your garden is grown.
A good launchpad for rock bands across Asia. This time, around 14 bands across 9 nations participated.
Each country has its own character, its own nature, its own ethos, and then they try and present it in Delhi, which is an international platform now, and how they perform and what they feel. Some of their own stuff and some what they are borrowing from others. So it's always an amalgam, and that's what's nice about this festival.
Making their way first was Delhi-based band Barefaced Liar, or the BFL.
Should I let you know a reason to be strong? I know that you.
Through the heavy mix of blues and classic rock with heavy metal sounds, they introduced songs from their latest album, which got a roaring applause from the audience.
Youth is our future. And I think this is one event which really brings youth from all over the region together, some in performing mode and others in listening mode. But you can see the sheer energy and the enthusiasm of the people. And I think this is something we need to do more and more to reinforce the message that we are all the same. There's so much that binds us. There's so much that binds us. I think this is what we need to share.
Playing with old rhythms and making them new, the Barefaced Liars jammed the concert. An extravagant affair, performances like these in Delhi make this festival one of the most eagerly awaited gala.
Well, this sort of a concert would definitely satiate the rock thirst of many. With that, we head into a very short break. Lots more coming up on the other side. Stay with us. After the break, we get you the festive cheer of Christmas and some special Christmas delicacies. Welcome back. Come December, and the only thing that comes to mind is Christmas. And what is Christmas without carols? So sit back and enjoy as we have just the right mixtures to get you in the spirit of Christmas.
Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh, dashing through the snow on a one-horse open sleigh. Over fields we go, laughing all the way.
Invoking the Christmas spirit, Delhi's favorite choral group, the Capital City Minstrels, or CCM, are back with their concluding gig for the year 2013. shout the good news. As the name suggests, the festive concert heralded the birth of Christ and thus the beginning of celebrations.
CCM was created or brought up by Zora Shaw, who is an Indian, and probably because the reason behind it was that she was lacking or she was missing Christmas carols sung by Indians. So I think this is also part of the Indian culture. I mean, you have to have this. As much as we like Indian songs and Indian music in the West, you also like this, and you can see the reaction and the reception by the people.
With a choir group of more than 30 people, CCM has an exciting mixture of people from all walks of life. They presented choral works of classic composers like Beethoven to contemporary composers like Lloyd Larsen.
People love this, yeah, all kinds of music, and people are interested in it, whether it is Christian or any other religion. I think it is a great pleasure to have this, and I think it should grow. Yeah, it should come to different parts of India, and they are doing very well.
Joyful, joyful, Lord, we adore thee. God of glory, Lord of love, hands unfold like flowers before thee, hail thee as the sun above.
A much sought after song, Joyful Joyful, was also sung, presented in the same quirky version, inspired from the 1993 comedy film Sister Act.
Lovely, it's an annual feature. We come every year. And it's really beautiful. This year was special with all the children.
Oh, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh.
The concert wouldn't have been complete without Jingle Bells.
All the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh.
Presented by the participating Mozart's Children Choir of India and the Children Choir of German School. From the tiniest member to the eldest, all contributed in making the show a grand success.
I think it just builds up the Christmas spirit, because if we get to sing and like in different languages, and plus it's just, and the audience was so into it today because they were all songs that people have heard before.
Delhi's YMCA also started their countdown to the birth of Christ with a range of classic Christmas carols. O come, all ye faithful, asks everyone to rejoice the coming of Christ.
I'm sure you must have been singing along. And why not? These choirs are meant to rekindle the spirit of Christmas in just about everyone. Now, if you're planning to travel down south, Thanjavur's Brhadisvara temple is one place you just can't miss. But for all those others who have no such travel plans, well, we'll bring the temple to you.
The Thanjavur Brhadisvara temple brought to the national capital for the Monument and the Living Tradition exhibition. The expansive temple captured in all its distinct forms at the Matighar Gallery of the Indira Gandhi National Centre for Arts. Built in 1010 AD by King Rajaraja Chola I, the UNESCO has designated this magnificent structure as a World Heritage Monument.
When we talk of the content, the Brhadisvara is rich in that, because we have the Chola paintings, Nayak paintings, Maratha paintings in the Garbhagriha. Then we have architecturally it's huge. It's one of the greatest achievement of the Chola art, I can say it. it's surviving since last 1000 years. 10 AD it has been constructed, and iconography, it's one of the best iconographic depictions is there. Any form of Shiva, if you talk of it, it's there.
Dedicated to Lord Shiva, with its intricate Dravidian layout, the temple was a monumental achievement for the Chola dynasty. The replica of the Mammoth Lingam was one of the key highlights of the exhibition that focused on many aspects besides architecture.
Temple structure which is there in South India is very different from the temple structure which is there in Northern India. In Northern India, we don't come across such huge temples, and it's just fantastic. You see the many gopurams and the style of the gopurams with the gods and various figures, all on the gate, and the Shivaling also. I am sure it's very new to this part of the country, our country.
The carved temple walls show the many forms of Shiva, going on to the Ardhanarishwar and even Vishnu. The 1000-year-old inscriptions are a window to an ancient past. The exhibition also brought alive the paintings reflecting 3 different periods, from the Chola to the Nayaka and the Maratha, all adorning the colorful temple walls. The IGNCA has been at work for 20 years to put up this exhibition. With the help of multimedia, the entire history of Brhadisvara has been compressed into a portable DVD format that felicitates a visual tour of one of the breathtaking architectural wonders ever built.
A well-researched exhibition that certainly did leave the visitor more informed than before. Time for another quick break, an exciting food trail on the other side. Stay with us. Up next, we bring you the food and festivities of Christmas. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Christmas is one of the most lavishly celebrated festivals across the world, but the richness we seek for lies in food. So as Christmas is around the corner, we get you some delightful surprises.
Hello and welcome to Food Trail with me, Shubhra Mukherjee. Come December, Christmas is the one thing that is on everyone's mind, and this time I'm exploring the traditional dishes which highlights the true essence of Christmas. When the aroma of the freshly baked gingerbread house fills the space, and the Christmas tree is all ready to greet Santa with the glowing lights and shiny bells, nothing feels more comforting. Christmas is the time for joy, and since the Victorian era, the idea of a Christmas feast celebrating the birth of Christ has been a ritual. And what is a festival without something sweet and savory?
Any festival is related to the joy. If there is any enjoyment, has to be with the any festival. This is my funda for celebrating the festival. And in terms of cuisines and all, this is very elaborated cuisines. Like in Christmas, we are serving turkey, capon, most of the pork items, lot of savory items, and a lot of desserts. But the traditional desserts are, we are doing cake mixing. There are a lot of dry fruit, fresh fruits, and all these things with the liquor.
A plum cake is a must for Christmas, and to bake the best, it's essential to get the right balance of ingredients. Start off by whisking 300 grams of butter and 200 grams of breakfast sugar in a bowl for 10 minutes. Then add 4 eggs. When ready, add 250 grams of white flour, 5 grams of baking powder, a tablespoon of cinnamon. Later add a teaspoon of spice mix. To give a little character to the cake, pour in 30 ml of red wine and a few drops of caramel color, along with the assorted dry fruits. After folding in everything, transfer the mixture into a buttered mold and bake at 150 degrees for 40 minutes. Decorate and dust with icing sugar.
Any dessert in bakery or anything in bakery is a very specific recipes. We can't change recipes, we can modify the recipes, but the method would be specific. The things would be very clear. If for example we are beating something, like we are creaming the butter and sugar together, there is a certain time. If you will overbeat, they will curdle. You have to make from the beginning again.
I just had over here the plum cake. I must say it is full of raisins, it is full of nuts, and the flavor is just very soothing and heartwarming. Plum cake is one of those desserts which tops the list of traditional Christmas dessert items, and of course it is one of the best gifting products as well. I'm sure if you gift one of these plum cakes to your relatives and your friends, they'll love it.
The mince pie is another Christmas staple. For the crust, mix 50 grams of butter and 30 grams of icing sugar for 15 minutes. Add an egg. Then add 25 grams of white flour with 2 drops of vanilla extract. Mix properly and then freeze it for 10 minutes. Later roll out and lay it on the pie mold. For the filling, mix 100 grams of assorted nuts with 10 ml each of red and white wine for that extra edge. Pour it in the mold and cover it with a desired shape for the top layer. Bake this goodness for 25 minutes at 200 degrees. And what you get is a fine dish with crunch and comfort.
Now this is the minced pie, and I must say it is a gorgeous looking dessert. I mean, just look at it, it's a star dessert in itself, and just look at the crust and the topping of it. It is just fabulous. Fantastic, absolutely. The crust is just so fine. It is baked to perfection.
And the desserts don't just stop there. From the gingerbread house to a chocolatey Christmas tree to the Yule log cake and more. Christmas gives a chance for new inventions and endless options.
After having that gorgeous mince pie and that beautiful plum cake, my Christmas couldn't have been more merrier. But I do spot a few more desserts behind me, so as I get back to my dessert spree, I wish all of you a very Merry Christmas, and now it's over to you, Teena.
That seems to be the perfect way to spend your Christmas Eve with. So while you have a cheerful Merry Christmas, it's time for me to wind up this episode of Colors of India. We'll see you same time next week with more cultural updates. Until then, goodbye and take care.